Hello beautiful people of the internet, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited that you've joined me today. For today's video, we're going to be discussing all the books that I want to read in November. Now, let's be honest for just a second, because in October, for some weird reason, I put so much pressure on myself to read all the things. And I feel like I kind of burnt myself out a little bit on reading, but I'm not in a book slump. Does any of that make sense? I don't want to do that to myself this month. I don't want to put so much on myself that I feel like reading is a chore. So I am just going to put some books on my TBR. If I get to them, I get to them. If I don't, I don't. But there are so many books on this list that I'm so excited about, and let's go ahead and dive in. The first book that I'm going to pick up in November is actually one that I've already picked up, and that is Holly by Stephen King. This is my first Stephen King, and I am about 100 pages into it, and I am loving it. Stephen King's writing is very gripping and it's very intriguing, and it's unlike any kind of writing I've read before, and I'm loving it. So this one is following our main character, Holly Gibney. I think that's how you say her name. And Holly Gibney is a famous character that Stephen King has wrote about before, but apparently she's this private investigator that is put on this case of a missing daughter. Well, her investigation brings her to this elderly couple's house, and let me just tell you, this elderly couple has some issues. And for some reason, I thought Stephen King wrote cozy horror. This is not cozy horror, but I'm loving it. The next book I want to pick up in November is Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is book number 2 in the Addicted Calloway Sister series. And I read book 1 last year, I think back in February, and absolutely loved it. This is definitely a series that is not for the faint of heart. This is not your classic cute little rom-com. This deals with heavy topics such as addiction, toxic relationships, and so on and so forth. So this series follows Lily and Lo as they both are fighting different addictions, and they are friends who are claiming to be boyfriend and girlfriend to kind of get their families off their back while they indulge in their addictions. It's a hard read, I'm not gonna lie, but I remember being so attached to Lily and Lo, and this is just a continuation of their story, and I'm excited to visit them again. I had to change my camera battery, so hopefully the angle is still pretty similar. I'm so sorry if it changed. The next book I want to pick up in November is Reveal Me by Tara Maffey. I know this says Find Me, but this is 2 novellas in one. This is the next novella in the Shatter Me series. Guys, I cannot say enough good things about this series. This series is my favorite book series of all time. Ignite Me, which is the 3rd book in this series, is my favorite book of all time. I cannot tell you enough how much I love these characters and how much I love this story. You just have to give it a try and see how you like it. So I think this particular novella is in Kenji's point of view, which if you read the series, Kenji is one of the best characters in the entire series, and I cannot wait for his perspective. The next book I want to pick up in November is A Holly Jolly Diwali by Sonia Lawley. This is an adult romance that takes place in India, and Diwali is actually an Indian holiday. When I taught 2nd grade, we learned all about Diwali, and when I saw this, I immediately picked it up because I love the holiday Diwali, and it's super interesting to learn about. So I figured it would be super cute to read a cute rom-com set around Diwali. Diwali is actually on November 12th, so I kind of want to read this around Diwali. For some reason, this book keeps calling to me, and I need to pick it up ASAP, and that's Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I have picked this up so many times, but I've always been occupied by other books and never gave it the full attention that it deserves, and in November, we are going to do it. All I know about this one is that it is a small town romance that has some deeper topics than the average rom-com. This one follows Naomi and Knox, and I have to read you this first sentence, and it's so perfect. It says, Knox Morgan doesn't tolerate drama, especially in the form of a stranded runaway bride. Does that not make you want to pick that up right now? The next book is an anticipated release that I have my hands on, and that's Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book in the Maple Hills series. The first book is Icebreaker, and this is the second book. She actually just released this one. I'm so excited to dive into this one. So basically, these two characters have a one-night stand, and they don't think of each other again until they show up at their job of a camp counselor, and it turns out they're both working at the same camp.
Talk about awkward.
I am one of the ones that really enjoyed Icebreaker. I love that book. I know it has some mixed feelings, but I know that I'm going to love this one just as much. The next book I'm going to pick up is actually a nonfiction, and that is Every Woman a Theologian by Felicia Masonheimer. And this is Know What You Believe, Live It Confidently, Communicate It Graciously. And I am reading this for my friend Keisha's book club that she just started. It is a Christian-based book club. It is called Revive, and I will leave all of that information down below if you're interested. And this is November's book pick. What do you believe and why? What does it mean to you to be a Christian? How often are we guided by our own feelings, by cultural messages, or by social media feeds? Many of us like the idea of God leading our lives and forming our hearts, but the truth is we feel far away from that reality. How do we allow Him to truly change how we think, communicate through hardships, and navigate the world? By becoming theologians. The next book I'm going to pick up in November is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. And this was actually a book of the month pick I got last month, or back in September. All I know about this one is that it has Gilmore Girls vibes, and in November, do I need anything else? Also, I'm still coming down from reading Cackle. That book was so good, and anything relatively close to that, I'm ready to read. Alright, the last two books that I'm going to talk about have actually not been released yet, so I do not physically own them. The first one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. If you've been around on my channel for a while, then you know that I absolutely adore the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, and that one follows three brothers that own an amusement park. It's so good. It's more than just your typical romance. They dive into some deeper topics and some deeper relationships, and I just love that. This series is not part of the Dreamland Billionaire series, but it does have a billionaire aspect to it, and that's all I needed to know. This releases on November 7th. And the next one I'm going to talk about, it actually comes out also on November 7th. This book is already out, but I ordered the special edition of it, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I know I am the only one in this world that has not read this book yet. I know I am extremely behind, but I need to get my hands on it. I need to know what all the hype is about, and I could not be more excited to dive into this one. Alright friends, that is all of the books that I want to get to in the month of November. Again, I'm hoping November is going to be a lot more slower paced than October was, and I'm hoping to also get some really good books read. Let me know down below what you are going to be reading for the month of November. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to stick around, and I will see you in my next video. Bye friends.